Right, let's get more on today's G20 meeting. SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena is on the line. Sophie, there's just so much happening. We're trying desperately to stay on top of things, but this is incredibly important for South Africa, for the gathering of the G20. Talk to us how important this opening meeting is. I mean, the President is even going to be addressing it.
I think the meeting is quite important as the officials from government pointed out that the meeting comes at a time where you have many challenges globally, whether you're talking the global economic growth, socio-economic conditions of citizens of the world or member states, but also the political climate around the world, the global issues, where we see a conflict still raging in Ukraine, the Middle East on the continent, you have Sudan, you have the DRC, and we know that member states of this group do take different posture in terms of all these issues. We saw yesterday how the President of the United States of America weighed in on a war in Ukraine, and the response from the European Union member states in support of Ukraine and also Russia weighing in. And therefore, these are the issues that are causing tension in the world. But also, when you look at the relationship between South Africa and the second largest economy in terms of trade with South Africa, that is the United States of America. And we heard that America is not sending the Secretary of State. So there's so much to talk about, and I think ministers of foreign affairs, they are charged with the responsibility to ensure that we deal with these issues so that the other contact groups that are expected to meet in terms of different sectors as part of the build-up to November, where you see heads of state and government meeting in Johannesburg, these issues are off the way. And therefore, this will be a very crucial meeting with the media from around the world descending in Nasrec and to take notes and information and beam these outcomes out of Johannesburg to the entire world, with the G20 being such an influential group.
So let's speak about the US's attendance for a while. We've been speaking about it a lot. Of course, the US Secretary of State not attending this particular summit. Then we got news yesterday, and I mean, this adds to it, is that the US Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, yesterday making an announcement he's skipping next week's meeting of finance ministers and central bank governors from the group of 20 major economies that's happening in Cape Town. So these are two massive meetings that the heads are not attending. But let's perhaps get your views on the announcement that was made yesterday, and also there was going to be a representative from the USA for today. Is that still in place?
Yes, the person who will represent the United States of America will be an official from the embassy in South Africa. Yes, earlier on, we were told that the Secretary of Treasury will attend the Ministers of Finance meeting in Cape Town. That will start or preceded by central bank governors of the G20. But then yesterday, there was that report that he is also not coming, and the report citing the current tension between South Africa and the United States of America on certain policies. And therefore, that was something that surprised many, because there was a guarantee that he is coming. But this speaks to the tension in relation to interpretation of South Africa's foreign policy and the internal issues in South Africa. I think America is using the issue of expropriation or the internal policies of South Africa. But the real issue at stake here is South Africa's position on global issues such as the Middle East question. There is no doubt that America supports Israel, and South Africa taking Israel to the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court didn't sit well with Israel. That then went recently, the Prime Minister, to America to lobby. I can tell you Israel did lobby America, to pressurize America to take this hard line against South Africa. And I think these are some of the issues the envoy and the team that will go around the world will try to clarify, because these international multilateral institutions were set up to settle disputes. South Africa didn't say, let's take arms and fight Israel, but they said, let us go to institutions set up by the world body, the UN, to settle disputes. And therefore, the International Court of Justice, it is a world court. It is the UN court, and you use UN systems to settle disputes. For example, the paralyzed United Nations Security Council. What can you do when the resolutions can't go through to stop the carnage? You then have to go to other institutions that are meant to do that. But I think that's where the issue is, and it is going to be a difficult one for South Africa. But I think the president will also try and touch on these burning issues today in his speech.
All right, Sophie Mokoena, thanks so much for just giving us a bit of background on this particular story, a big one and a huge focus for today.